there any parents who are here tonight from Chetts Creek? You want to stand? Thank you for your commitment to be here with us tonight. And I'm confident that Board Member Anderson, Chetts Creek, that's your school, and I know I saw you beaming with pride.
Sure, once a Creeker, always a Creeker, right?
Thank you. I would like to call this meeting to order, and I would like to thank the Chetts Creek Strings from Chetts Creek Elementary School under the direction of Miss Christine Bell for that wonderful performance. The school board of the Duval County School District has now convened in its regular monthly meeting. To everyone present and to our television viewers, I would like to extend a warm welcome to this meeting of the Duval County School Board. The vision statement of the Duval County School Board states every student is inspired and prepared for success in college or a career and life. The mission statement of the Duval County School Board is to provide educational excellence in every school and every classroom for every student every day. The Duval County School Board is here tonight to listen to reports from district staff and to set policy for the district that will improve student achievement. We will also address budgets, contracts, personnel appointments, and other business items that require a vote of the board. The management and day-to-day operations of the district are the responsibility of the superintendent. It is not the role of the board to make managerial or operational decisions. The board has policies and procedures in place to assist the superintendent in resolving management and operational issues. If items appear to move quickly, it is because the board meets in an agenda committee meeting prior to the board meeting for an in-depth review of all agenda items. The committee meeting for the May 7, 2019 school board meeting will be held on April 16, 2019 at 9 a.m. and the public is invited to attend. As a show of courtesy and respect to each other, we ask that all mobile phones are turned off and that no flash photography be used during the meeting. For those wishing to address the board during our public comments portion of the board meeting, please note that we will accept speaker cards until 6:20 p.m. Thank you for taking the time to join us this evening and for your interest in the operation of the Duval County School District. It is now time for the opening message. Board members, I invite you to stand for the opening message given tonight by James Collier, a student from Bridge to Success Academy High School, and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Greetings, all school board members, school board chair, Ms. Hershey, vice chair, Mr. Jones, and superintendent, Dr. Green. My name is James Collier. Thought of today, tenacity. This word makes me think of a strong, relentless grip. And that's exactly what it takes to achieve greatness. Think of all the expressions that reinforce this fact. Hold on to your principles, hold fast in all circumstances, hold forth against all obstacles. On the day my mom lost her job, she made me promise her that I would do something with my life so that I would not have to suffer the way she did. I was never enthusiastic about going to college because no one in my family went to college or graduated from high school. With minimum exposure to post-secondary options, college was never discussed. But all that changed when I was offered an opportunity to be enrolled in a phenomenal program that helps students 2 to 3 years behind in school accelerate and graduate on time. That program is called Bridge to Success Academy, and it literally changed the trajectory of my life. The Bridge to Success Academy has been beneficial to me because of smaller class sizes, and there are more opportunities for teacher and student interactions. Everything happens for a reason, and every challenge that we face in life is for preparation. These are some of the positive words my teachers at Bridge to Success would install inside of me every day. And I just want to say thank you to everyone that helped me on my journey to graduate from high school. Without all of you and God by my side, I wouldn't be the young man that I am today. Again, I want to say thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Collier. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tonight we have District 4, Asa Philip Randolph Career Academy's principal.
Before he walks out, I know the principal was beaming as we heard from Bridge
okay.
to Success. I just wanted to acknowledge him. I think he turned around, but there's a column between
Okay.
he and I.
Thank you, Mr. Collier. That was a great message.
Mr. Foster, the principal.
Mr. Foster, I know that you are proud of your student, and we appreciate we appreciate his comments tonight and the good work that you do on behalf of Duval County students. Thank you. Your work helps our graduation rates improve, and we appreciate that. Thank you. Good things are happening in Duval County public schools. So now, Asa Philip Randolph Career Academy's principal Kathy Barnes from Board Member Willie's district has a presentation for us.
Good evening. We are from A. Philip Randolph Career Academies. My name is Ashanti and I am in the Health Science Academy. I am CPR certified and I am currently working towards my CMAA. This license gives me permission to work at any healthcare facility, run the front desk of any healthcare facility. From there, I will become a pediatrician. I am your future and I will care the next generation of children.
My name is Latoris, and I'm in the NCAC National Model Academy. Next year, I will take my cosmetology exam and soon graduate as a licensed cosmetologist. I aspire to own my own salon, and with this license, I can absolutely do that. I'm your future, and I'm here to enhance your beauty.
Good evening. My name is Moses, and I am in a construction academy specializing in HVAC. We earn OSHA 10 certifications that prepare us for safety on the job site. By graduation, we will have showcased our qualifications in the National Center for Construction Education and Research Network, otherwise known as NCCER. I will become licensed journeyman through the Plumbers and Pipefitters Union. I am your future and will help you live in comfort.
Good evening. My name is Destiny. I am in the Construction Academy specializing in welding. By the time that I graduate, I will have mastered different welding techniques such as shielded metal arc welding, oxy-fuel cutting, and gas metal arc welding. I am a member of Future Builders of America as a secretary. I will secure a job in a welding shop that will pay for my college degree. I am your future, and I will bring your visions to life.
Good evening. My name is Jordan, and I am in the Construction Academy specializing in carpentry. I have constructed dog houses with tile flooring and shingle roofs, built a tiny house with electrical wiring, and at the moment we have built several mock structures in our labs complete with flooring, framing, and drywall. Soon we will pass them along to the HVAC Academy, who will wire them and install ventilation. I am your future master carpenter, and I will put a roof over your head.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Francesca. I am in the Fire and Rescue Academy. I'm currently CPR certified, and by the time I graduate, I will be certified as a level 1 firefighter. As of right now, I am on the student board for FPSA, aka Florida Public Service Association, as parliamentarian. This year we competed and took home several trophies, one of them being me, who personally took home the third place in firefighter agility. I am your future public servant.
Good evening. My name is Jessica, and I am in the NCAC nationally recognized Criminal Justice Academy of Asa Philip Randolph Career Academies. When I graduate, I will have my 911 telecommunications certification, and I will also have an unarmed private security Class D license. Last month, we competed in the Florida Public Service Association competition in Orlando, Florida, where we took home first place in team dynamics. I am the president of both my FPSA and Skills USA chapters, where we are allowed to compete in criminal justice competitions on a local, state, and national level. My academy also has a partnership with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, where we get hands-on experience with professionals who work in the criminal justice field. I am your future public servant, and I am here to uphold justice.
My name is Aramis, and I'm in the SWAG Academy. SWAG stands for Social Media, Web Design, Animation, and Graphic Design. In my academy, we can earn many different certifications, such as the CIW certification, CSS, International Business Associate, JavaScript, Programming, and Adobe Creative Cloud, Animation, Premiere Pro, Dreamweaver, and Photoshop. And that's just to name a few. I will one day create websites for companies all around the world. I am your future, and I will enhance your online experience.
Good evening. I'm Kathy Barnes, and I'm the luckiest principal in the state of Florida. What an amazing group of students. We are very proud of what we have accomplished at APR. Last year, we graduated 96% of our students. And of those students, most of them are already in their career, earning their income for life, and we're very proud of that. We're also home to 2 national model academies, as you heard those students, and that's a heck of a tribute to our kids and the hard work that our academies put into working with their advisory board members. We're also mentoring one of our local elementary schools that we've had a very powerful experience with in bringing their school to a school of kindness that you may have seen in the paper. We've worked really hard with R.L. Brown Elementary School. At APR, we secure things, we heal things, we create things, but most important what we do is we give our students a future that will earn them an income, and we're very proud of that. So thank you for letting our students showcase what they do tonight.
Thank you very much, Principal Barnes. And Dr. Pierce, I think we have, if we just take these excerpts tonight, we've got that campaign right there. I dare anyone to say that Duval County does not have a strong career technical education program. Thank you so much. I know that Board Member Willie would like to say a few things, a few words.
I mean, oftentimes when we're in our communities, we drive by our schools and don't realize what's happening on the inside. All of this is going on under one roof. So that's just an amazing thing and a testament to you, Ms. Barnes. And I think I saw some staff or teachers here. Could you all raise your hand or say hello or any of that? I see one filming, of course. And any families or parents here as well? See, these are high school. They drove themselves. But if we can just give them one more huge round of applause for the courage students in here. And I would urge anyone to go and visit the stuff that's happening there. I mean, I got my hair done. I got to see about some carpentry. Ran into a crime scene when I was there. Like, it is a dynamic place to learn, and I'm just excited to have you as a principal and you students. Congratulations on your future success. Thank you.
I I would like to ask Dr. Diana Green to make the following presentations, and Board Member Willie to present certificates.
After 10 years of always putting students first, supporting her colleagues, and mentoring others, it is now her turn to step into the spotlight. For our first presentation, we wish to honor Andrea Pastrana, a Duval County school psychologist and winner of the 2018-2019 School Psychologist of the Year. This award was presented to Pastrana last month by the Northeast Florida Association of School Psychologists. She's one of about 60 school psychologists in the district. Her role includes providing comprehensive school psychological services to 2 large elementary schools. Her peers not only praise her for her passion, they also commend her for juggling a lot of responsibilities really well. In addition to planning professional activities, navigating district policy, and managing a large caseload, she finds time to mentor new staff members and university students who are studying psychology. She also manages the testing inventory for the entire school psychologist staff, making sure everyone has what they need. Peers go on to call her an intelligent, passionate woman who is a trusted source and resource and treats both students and staff with respect. Here tonight to celebrate Pastrana are Gail Roberts, Executive Director of Exceptional Education and Student Services, Andrew Jenks, Supervisor of Psychological Services, Dr. Rosalind Ballou, District School Psychologist and President of the Northeast Florida Association of School Psychologists, Olive Mensa, also with the Northeast Florida Association of School Psychologists, and a number of her supportive colleagues. Please help us congratulate Andrea Pastrana, 2018-2019 School Psychologist of the Year. 33 students, 8 different high schools, and 1 empowering academy. We now wish to recognize the participants in this year's Duval County Council PTA's Superintendent's Leadership Academy. All student leaders of today being trained to become advocates of tomorrow. This academy was formed in 2010 to teach student leaders how to become effective advocates. To join, students must be nominated by their high school principal and PTSA boards that are in compliance with the state. They participate in classes that show them how to advocate for themselves, their education, their classmates, and their schools. They also travel to the state capitol and get to meet some of their local representatives. This year's group includes students in grades 9 to 12, and they're from Andrew Jackson, Atlantic Coast, Darnell Cookman, Douglas Anderson, Fletcher, Mandarin, Paxton, Rains, Sandalwood, and Stanton. Here with them this evening is Duval County Council PTA President Felita Tutt, and many of their proud parents are also in the audience. The members of this year's class are Vera Befour, Nehemiah Booz, Harlan Brown Jr., Shariah Nicole Brown, Sanaya Campbell, Elena Every, Elise Fellows, Ben Japalo, Kennedy Hill, Tavion Johnson, Kanan Jones, Jaden Jones, Lauren Jones, Nandini Katarevan, Lainey Kamarer, Lindsay Lethold, Gokul Maditil, Janaya Montgomery, Allison Oman, Daya Patel, Needy Patel, Alasia Patterson, Tamaya Phillips, Emily Rayleigh, Charlotte Rogers, Berenice Ruiz de la Pena, Jacoby Stanford, Terrell Tutt, John Wright Stanley, Jordan Wallace, Kennedy Ford, Mila Queen, and Darius Primus. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Now, when it comes to the number of male and female high school students taking advanced placement or AP computer science courses, the statistics tend to tell a story that more males are enrolling than females. However, school districts across the country, including this one, are telling a different story, one that is closing the gender gap and engaging more female students in AP computer science. It's why we're thrilled to recognize 3 Team Duval high schools excelling in female representation in their AP computer science courses. They're Ed White, Ribault, and Raines high schools. They've each earned the College Board's AP Computer Science Female Diversity Award for the 2017-2018 school year. This recognition has gone to only 490 schools in the United States. To earn this title, a school's AP Computer Science class must be at least 50% female, or the percentage of female students taking the AP Computer Science exam meets or exceeds the school's female population. In meeting these criteria, these schools are proving their commitment to prepare all students for the many opportunities that exist in STEM fields. Tonight, we welcome the AP Computer Science teachers and administrators from each of these schools. They are Patrick Harold and Principal Tracy Bateste of Ed White, Teacher Quinitra Sams and Principal Gregory Bostic of Ribault High School, and Teacher Donna Brovich-Kennison and Assistant Principal Brandy Stallings of Raines High School. We also wish to recognize district staff for their support in this. They are Ryan Rui, Director of Career and Technical Education, Jane Harvey, a specialist in career and technical education, and not with us this evening, Wendy Dunlap, Director of High School Programs. Please join us in congratulating this group for their roles in earning the College Board's AP Computer Science Female Diversity Award. This year, Dr. Diana Green introduced the Superintendent's Coin of Excellence, awarding individuals and organizations who go above and beyond the high standards of this organization. For our last presentation, we now invite Dr. Green to present this award.
Thank you. It is my honor to present the Superintendent's Coin of Excellence to a young lady. She actually doesn't know why she's here tonight. I'm going to ask Dr. Michelle Floyd Hatchard to please come forward. I am offering the Coin of Excellence awarded by the superintendent to Dr. Michelle Floyd Hatchard for this particular reason. Probably a month ago, we were holding our FCI meetings out at the high schools or other schools, and this particular night we were holding an FCI at Andrew Jackson. And that at the same time we had received a call that one of our students was missing. It was a foster child who was having a rough time and didn't go home, and no one could find this particular student. We did not finish that meeting until after 9 p.m. And not only did Dr. Floyd Hatchard indicate, well, I'm going to get in my car and I'm going to start driving around looking for this student. We also had Chief of Schools, Mr. Wayne Green, and also Dr. Julio Valley also got in his car. Well, Dr. Floyd Hatchard, after about driving around maybe 30, 40 minutes, she found this little girl walking in the midst of a downpour that she didn't know where she was going, she didn't know where she was, and for Dr. Floyd Hatchard to have that type of commitment and love and passion for our students merits, this pales in comparison, a Superintendent Coin of Excellence. So congratulations, Dr. Floyd. We also invited her husband, if he could quickly come up and take a picture. He just walked out. He knew why he was there. He knew.
concludes this evening's presentations.
Approval of the April 8, 2019 agenda. That the Duval County School Board approve the April 8, 2019 agenda as submitted on April 1, 2019.
Move approval.
Second.
It was moved by Board Member Anderson and seconded by Vice Chair Jones. I call for your vote.
Excuse me, Madam Chairman, did you read the change? I'm not sure that we heard that. The change being to the recognition presentation of awards. That was the item that was changed.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, that's okay. With the following changes: recognitions, presentations of awards, communications item amended. Do we vote now?
Yes, it's already on
Okay.
the floor. Thank you, Madam
All right.
Chairman.
What?
Yeah, we have the motion and the second.
It was moved by Board Member Anderson and seconded by Vice Chair Jones. By your actions, you have passed this 7-0. We are on to the chairman's report. Is the PowerPoint working? Right. I'm gonna try. Which button do I push? Thank you. So I want you to know that during the month of March, our school board has been hard at work, advocating on behalf of public education at the national and state level. And the conferences that we attend through Florida School Board Association, the National School Board Association, the Council of Great City Schools are important because we learn about what's happening in public education at the national level as well as at the state level. And when we have opportunities to engage in conversations and influence policies, it's beneficial for us. And I just wanted to share that Board Member Joyce and I were able to attend the Council of Great City Schools Conference, which was a great event. And we are pictured there with the Assistant Secretary of Education, former,
Frank Brogan.
right, but former Lieutenant Governor, that was the word, I'm sorry, I was looking for. Frank Brogan, who was from the state of Florida. It was a great conversation and a wonderful conference. Board Member Joyce, is there anything you would like to add or say about that conference?
Well, I was going to save that for the record.
Okay.
So if you want me to go ahead and...
Well, if you want to say a little bit now and you can save some.
Well, it was a great opportunity that Board Chair Hershey and I were able to participate in the Council of Great City Schools. This is a coalition of the nation's largest city school districts. One of the workshops we went to focused on what means and methods will be used to ensure an accurate count of children in the next year's national census. I am glad that DCPS has a seat at the table with leaders like the Honorable Frank Brogan. And I just am grateful that during those discussions, Jacksonville's voice was heard.
The other national conference that was attended was the National School Board Association. 10,000 school board members from across the nation registered. I felt like that many were there. Board Member Smith-Juarez told me that she did not think that many were there, but it felt that large to me. And while this is from school boards from across the nation, there were out there of the 67 school districts in the state of Florida, there were about 15 to 17 of us who represented the state of Florida with the Florida School Board Association. Board Member Smith-Juarez is about to lose her voice, but I did want to give her an opportunity if you would like to make any comments about that conference.
Thank you. It was a pleasure and a great learning opportunity to attend the NSBA conference again this year. I think of note with those 10,000 school board members who I'm certain were somewhere within the conference center in the building where we were. I think it's important that we remember that even with all of the choices that exist within public education and all of the choices that we support as a district and across the state of Florida, that 9 out of 10 children are educated in 100,000 public schools across the country. So 9 out of 10 children sit in a public school somewhere, and that's why it is so important that we gather as school board members from across the nation who are from just diverse and disparate districts, but have a common agenda to educate those children well for college or a career and life, and to have the public education system across America thrive for those 9 out of 10 children. So also attended a session on the census. April 1st marked 1 year till Census Day 2020. I'm sure you will hear me talk about that more than you want to until it happens, because that accurate count is also critical to the resources that we need in order to continue that excellent education. So thank you.
And I'll also add that school districts across the nation are facing aging infrastructure as we are, and that conversation continues across the nation. I was able to attend a workshop that was specifically on replacing older schools and what new schools look like in collaborative learning spaces. When our schools were built, that at least I attended, they were built for blackboards. And to see what is being built today is very exciting for the 21st century. Also at the state level, the Florida School Board Association this past week was in Tallahassee, and I am pleased to say we had 4 board members who attended that. I wanted to give board member Anderson, would you like to share anything about your experience in Tallahassee?
Sure. So I think Board Member Willie, Board Member Joyce, and I were able to go and follow up with some training for new school board members. So that was exciting to kind of get back into the loop and make sure that we have all the information we need to be effective as board members here. And that was piggybacked right onto a day in the legislature where FSBA is able to kind of give us with their lobbyists and other representatives that came in to speak with us. The Commissioner of Education, Richard Corcoran, came and spoke with us. So we're able to get information that's happening at the state level to keep right on pulse with what's happening with laws and statutes as they're changing, and we move through session. And then we were also able to go and we had lots of meetings with our Duval delegates, which was very exciting. We're always grateful to them for opening their doors, hearing us, and being able to share about the good work that's happening in Duval County Public Schools. And to talk to them a little bit about what is good for public education and what is good for the collective need for students within our school buildings and supporting the good work that we are doing here and across the state.
Thank you. And I was going to let Board Member Willie, if I click this, it's not. There we go. So Board Member Anderson, Willie, and Joyce were able to meet Commissioner Corcoran, and he is going to be heading up the changes to the Florida standards. Board Member Willie, would you like to share anything about your experience in Tallahassee?
Yeah, it's great to engage as we've all talked about, and also just hear the sort of priorities and insights from Commissioner Corcoran. He is going to be the leader of that Department of Education for a while, so seeing what he thought, and even get a chance to interact with his new chancellor, Jacob Oliva, who will be the one actually figuring out what the new standards look like. So I think it's important for us here in Duval County to keep great relationships and keep those open lines of communication. We're a large district and we have a voice, and we need to make sure that they understand that we're doing this and we're going to be communicating back and forth. So it was great to be up there and advocate for the folks up there in Tallahassee.
So we also have been communicating with the community. We've had some community meetings, but I would like to thank Board Member Grimes and Vice Chair Jones for stepping up and doing some interviews for the district. And Board Member Grimes, is there anything you want to say or anything? But I appreciate it's very important. People often say, you know, what do you do as a school board member? And I hope you see it's a lot, and it takes all 7 of us to do it because you know, if it's just one or two people, we don't get as much work done, and that's why I wanted to show this tonight. What a difference it makes when you have a fully functioning seven board member of seven people who work together and get things done. Just wanted to go over a few things. We have had community meetings in each of the 7 districts, and people have been able to give input through the survey that was online. Tomorrow, April 9th at 9 o'clock in this room, the board will hear for the first time the proposed master plan. It is my understanding that revisions and input have been done based upon input that is given through the survey. I anticipate that the board will also have some discussion tomorrow on the presentation. It's important to us that you know that this is the beginning of the conversation, not the end of the conversation, and we are not looking to come up with a final plan or vote even until the end of July, maybe first part of August, so we are not rushing to that. There will also be additional board community meetings in the future. Your engagement, your input is very important, and we just want you to know that we encourage that, and we appreciate those who came out, and we hope that you will continue to be with us. Now, before I end, I have to tell you, Vice Chair Jones toured the Nutrition Center. And you want to model for us? Do you have your?
I was going to wait for the record.
I know, but in case people don't want to wait till the end.
Since you insist, I just wanted to make
he
all
looks
the
like a
board
doctor.
members aware that you're missing out on a nice jacket if you tour the Nutrition Services Center in the district. They do an excellent job of preparing the meals for, I think, 3,000 meals a year for our students, and they have machines that test for metal to make sure the food is safe.
She said that was one school.
You said 3,000.
I mean 3 million.
Okay, that's one school.
Yeah, a little bit more than 3,000, quite a few. But if you want to get a nice jacket, make sure you wear something warm because it's 41 degrees or below in there. I didn't know that, and put your hairnet on, but you will enjoy it. And Don, he's an excellent tour guide, and they did a good job for us. We toured both the Nutrition Services Center and the Bulls Bay facility. So I would encourage you to get one of these jackets. Thank you.
So that concludes the chair report, but again, I wanted you to see the work of the board and that it certainly takes all of us to be engaged to accomplish great things. Dr. Green.
We're going to see, I've been told they may have issues with my power. Oh, well, no, they don't. Here it is. I know Ms. Hershey just recently spoke about the master's facility plan update, but one of the things that when I go out and speak to community groups is I constantly remind that we have a lot to celebrate. One, Duval County Public Schools is ranked number 3 amongst the Big 7 and number 21 in the state of Florida based on school grades. As a district, we are in the top 25% of the highest performing districts in the state of Florida. This year we celebrated our highest graduation rate ever at 85.1%. When we spoke to a task force last week, we shared with them that not only are our traditional schools included in our high school graduation rate, but our charter schools, our dropout prevention schools, our DJJ facilities, all of those entities are included in that 85.1% graduation rate. And again, continue to remind everyone, we're 1 percentage point from being rated an A school district. That's equals 11 points. As a district, we are graded every year. Our students are in the midst of the beginning of the FSA testing, and our hope is that at the end of this school year, we are going to come out on top as an A-rated school district. But the challenge that we are facing today is that Duval County Public Schools has the oldest school facilities in the state of Florida. as you heard from Ms. Hershey, that this is a national issue dealing with old facilities. So Duval County is not alone. The issue in Florida is that Duval County is the only district that is averaging over 40 years of age per square foot, and ours is actually 44 years per square foot. The next highest would be at 33 years, Miami-Dade School District. So there's a big difference between us and the next highest or the next oldest school district. So there's over 11 years that separate us. So this bold plan for DCPS has been a journey, and it is not a race, it is a marathon, and we will take our time ensuring that our communities that are impacted know the facts and are engaged in the process. We started this back in January with our FCI meetings through February 28th. Once those meetings were completed, we then came out with the scenarios presented. We are working with a third-party entity called Cooperative Strategies, and that company, based on the information from the FCI, the utilization study, the student enrollment study, they developed scenarios that would impact our district in a way that, one, we are increasing our utilization of our schools. One of the goals was to increase our utilization from 82% to 85%. The second goal was to reduce student vacant seats. Currently, we have over 20,000 vacant student seats, and the goal was to reduce those vacant seats, and this plan that they presented would reduce seats by 5,000. In addition, another goal was to ensure that if we were doing any consolidation, that it would result in either a brand new school or a school that is renovated at such that it seems like a brand new school. So now we're at the phase of community input that we received through our online survey. Tomorrow they will present that information to the board, but I can say from looking at the preliminary information, we had over 8,000 views of each of the, not each, of the community meetings, because it wasn't 8,000 per community meeting, it was 8,000 total views. And well over 1,500 online responses through the online survey. Once we present to the board, we will then spend the months of April, May, June, and July either revisiting scenarios or making recommendations for that final facilities plan that we will bring to the board, probably the first board meeting in August. When you look at the plan funding, those of you who may have attended a meeting, you heard about your particular board member district. This chart shows all of the board member districts as well as the city council districts that match the school board districts. And each of the chart, you will note that the dollar amounts that we anticipate that we would need to spend to implement that master facility plan. So for School Board District 1, Ms. Grimes, the dollar amount is $128,654,134, which represents 6% of the total funding. School Board District 2, Anderson, she is $177,868,653, which represents 9%. School Board District 3, Miss Ashley Smith Juarez, $327,252,484, which represents 17%. School Board District 4, Mr. Darrell Willing, $463,121,308, which represents 24%. School Board District 5, Vice President School Board Member Warren Jones, $405,289,826, which represents 21%. School Board District 6, School Board Member Charlotte Joyce,
$228,481,702, which represents 12%. And School Board District 7, School Board Chairman, Ms. Lori Hershey, $223,043,885, which represents 11%. As you can see, School Board District 5 and School Board District 4 together represents over 40% of the needed, whether it's backlog, infrastructure, or new or replacement schools. And I will make sure that each of the board members, you can have this chart so in case you need this information when you're out in the community. So we will continue moving through that process as board member, as the chair indicated. We will have a workshop tomorrow where those scenarios will be shared again with the board and the feedback that we received from the communities, and we will still have plenty of opportunity to go back into communities where we feel they need a face-to-face meeting. I will be meeting with the SAC with School Board District 4 and 5, and then community meetings again with District 4 and 5 in the month of May. On the legislative front, the Duval County School Board had 3 priorities: invest in high-quality education for all students, invest in the recruitment and retention of high-quality teachers, provide a graduation path for students who are workforce and career ready. Currently, there is legislation that we need to continue to monitor that has the ability to impact those priorities, establishing the budget and categorical funding amounts. The governor has put out his budget, the House has put out theirs, and so has the Senate. We prefer the governor's because this is always the best, but we believe we'll end up somewhere in between the House and the Senate budget. Also, some good news about teacher certification. They're making recommendations of a severe decrease in costs for teachers who have to didn't pass the certification the first time, almost as low as $35 for a retake. We're hoping that that legislation is passed and that it will become law, that many of our teachers will now be able to afford to take to do retakes. A retake was anywhere from $135 to $200, and on a teacher's salary, to have to keep doing that if you don't pass it every 30 days could be quite costly. Workforce education, some legislation is coming out and possible pathways for students that are wanting to go the certification route, whether that is in industry certification. We look forward to seeing more information come out, what that entails. From first blush, it seems like a great opportunity for our students. However, it does not remove any of the current requirements. They still must pass Algebra 1, EOC. They will still have to pass or have a concordance score for ELA, whether that is a passing ACT or SAT score. Also, school safety continues to be, though I think it's relates to high quality education for all students and retention and recruitment of teachers. There is legislation there that teachers will be allowed to volunteer to go through the Guardian program. Right now, that legislation, in my opinion, blocks the board from denying it. It is basically indicating if a teacher volunteers, we have to allow them to go through the Guardian program and possibly be certified to carry a concealed weapon on campus. I want to say, are there any questions about that? But there aren't. We are also in the middle of FSA testing. This past week, our 3rd through 10th graders, 3rd graders took ELA reading. 4th through 10th took ELA writing this past week, and some students are still in the makeup process. May 1st through the 14th, you can see grades 3 through 8, and then May 1st through the 29th are grades 7 through 12. This is the first year of the May testing schedule. It will be very interesting to see if we are going to actually get results back by the time the law says we're supposed to have results, which is the early part of July. But as you can see, we will be testing the entire month of May for a number of grade levels. But just want to encourage parents to make sure during that testing window that your child gets their rest, their sleep, and comes to school on time, and they're ready to go. And each grade level is listed, and we will post this on our website just as an FYI to parents. The last thing I'd like to talk about is school safety and security. Last Friday, we were asked to come speak to the Task Force on Safety and Crime Reduction. Vice President Board Member Warren Jones serves on that committee. They requested a presentation from Dr. Kelly Coker-Daniels on high school graduation rates. It seems that the committee didn't understand how can you have a 10th grade pass rate of ELA in the low 30s, yet you have a graduation rate of 92%. And Dr. Kelly Coker-Daniels came and did an outstanding presentation and shared that the data that is reported for FSA scores or school grades is just the first initial assessment. They are taking a college level assessment in 10th grade. Students have the opportunity, if they do not pass, they can take it again in 11th grade and again in 12th grade. They can take it twice in the 11th grade and twice in the 12th grade, or they can take the ACT or SAT for a concordance score. The bulk of our students take the ACT and SAT for that concordance score. Therefore, they have met the requirements. They've passed the Algebra 1 EOC, or they passed the ELA, or they have concordance scores from ACT, SAT, or they've passed it on the retakes. And that is the only way a student can, even if they meet their credits and they have a GPA, they cannot graduate without those requirements. And so when they see a high school has 92% graduation rate, it means 92% of the students met all of the criteria that is required to receive a diploma in the state of Florida. In addition, we had Director Edwards share about how we collaborate with JSO and the school district. He shared our data about our crime rate when the information we're required to report to the Department of Education, and we fielded quite a few questions. It was a lengthy conversation in answering on both topics. But when we were ready to leave, I asked to give some closing comments, and I wanted to share with them what our students went through last Friday at St. Clair Evans. What you see are pictures of the window. The top picture is the window where one of the bullets actually pierced the window. What you don't see behind that window is a bookcase that stopped that bullet. That classroom had 36 students and 2 teachers. They were finishing up their FSA reading testing. It was 3rd graders. The bottom 2 pictures, you'll see 2 other stray bullets hit the bottom part of the window. Those 2 areas, there was not a bookcase in front of the window. So imagine what could have happened if those bullets pierced those windows with students and teachers inside that classroom. This happened off of an incident on Moncrief between 2 cars, and these were stray bullets that made their way onto our campus. Violence in the city of Jacksonville is not a DCPS problem. Violence in the city of Jacksonville is a Jacksonville problem. It is a community problem. We are ready to work with any organization that wants to help reduce, put a stop to the violence in our city. But when we went into that school that same day to speak to the children, Chief Clark, who's standing in the back, said to the children, "I'm so sorry this happened to you." And a little 3rd grader stood up and said, "It's okay. This happens all the time. I don't want this to be normal for our children." They see enough in their home environment, wherever that may be. Our job as the school district of Duval County is to ensure when they are on our campuses that they feel safe, that our teachers feel safe, and that we are giving them an environment that is conducive to teaching and learning. I have now asked our Assistant Superintendent of Operations, please find out what is the cost to make those bulletproof windows. That is where we are. Now, as a school district, we are going to do our part. This board is committed to the safety, the welfare, the mental, social, emotional, I'm looking at Ms. Anderson, social, emotional welfare of our children. But they only spend 6.5 to 7 hours with us a day. They spend many, many more hours out in their communities, whether that's in the mall, shopping centers, the movie theaters. We all have to take responsibility for the safety of our children. We all play a role. So I needed to say that because my heart broke when when Chief Clark told me what the little boy said, that I was in that room with those children. The teachers were shaking, and it was so eerily that the children looked like this was just another day. And I know that children are resilient, but even our babies should not know that this is somehow normal, because it's not. And I encourage each of you who are here, whether you're in the room or you're listening on TV, to please think about how can you play a role on Team Duval? How can you play a role in your community to ensure that we all are responsible? We all are part of Jacksonville. And I want to be here a long time. And I want to be safe in my home. I want to be safe on our campuses. And our children deserve that. And so it will take all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Well said. I think we could all say amen.
Yeah, that was my sermon for tonight.
Thank you. We are now on the public comment portion of our meeting. Those wishing to address the board must fill out blue speaker card. The school board welcomes your comments on matters that are before the board for consideration. It is not the board's intent to respond this evening, but to use the input in our deliberations. To give everyone appropriate respect and courtesy, we ask the audience to refrain from audible comments or applause. When you come to the microphone, please state your name for the record. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. When the green light in front of me starts blinking, you will have a minute remaining. When the light turns yellow, you will have 30 seconds remaining. When it turns red and the buzzer sounds, your time will be up. If your concerns exceed that time, you may present written comments to the board. You are asked to refrain from references to specific individuals and to follow expectations for civil discourse. Please remember that speaker cards were only accepted until 6:20. Thank you for taking time to address the board. Our first speaker will be Debbie Scarborough, Karen DeMuth, and Dr. Nancy Statz.
Good evening, Dr. Green and honorable school board members and guests. My name is Debbie Scarborough. I have been a teacher in Duval County for 34 years, 31 of them as a regular classroom teacher. I'm a former national board certified teacher, and for the past 2 years, I have been a presenter at the Florida Art Education Association Art Conference. I also serve as president-elect on our local Northeast Florida Art Association and serve on Scholastic Arts Association. This year, I'm an elementary itinerant art teacher. I'm here tonight to promote restoring funding to the arts. Last year, I was a full-time art teacher on a 6-day rotation. On average, I saw my students for 180 minutes a month. This year, I see them on a 5-day rotation and for 90 minutes in a 1-month rotation. This means that students have had 675 minutes to be introduced to the 44 art standards that they will take and apply to their EOC in 1 week. Compare that to last year when they received 1,350 minutes of art instruction to prepare them for their EOC. The other school I serve has a different rotation schedule. They're on a 9-day rotation. I'm there every other week. That rotation continues when I'm not there. Some students have had me for 90 minutes a month, some for 45, and some for 0. At this school, there are 6 classes that I've only seen once this whole school year, which means they've received 45 minutes of art instruction from me and approximately 670 minutes with a full-time art teacher. 5th graders are held accountable to these standards. These students are expected to be able to apply these standards on the EOC. Many of those standards have to be combined in order to cover them all. For example, introducing value, the principles of art of contrast and unity, and then having them apply it to a work of art. Now, imagine asking a math teacher to introduce multiplication, division, and fractions all in one lesson. It would be difficult for even the most gifted student to grasp those concepts and apply them. 6th grade has 58 visual art standards, and that number jumps to 105 by 9th grade. Elementary art teachers are preparing them to meet these standards. As a classroom teacher for 31 years, I know the importance of academics such as reading, math, and science. And as an art teacher this past 3 years, I know that many of the visual art standards incorporate math, science, history, and literacy. I'm asking that you restore the funding to the visual arts program so that students have the opportunity to have a quality art program. The district's vision is to provide educational excellence in every school, in every classroom, for every student.
Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Karen DeMuth, and I'm a parent of 4 children in the Duval County Public School System, along with Dante, who is 8 years old. He's a special needs child. He was born without an esophagus and with Down syndrome. Dante has been at Neptune Beach Elementary School since he was 3 years old. He has learned to sit there, he has learned to walk there, and he has learned to be social there. However, about 3 years ago, he was only playing with battery-operated toys in a very solo manner. I discovered music therapy and brought it into my home, and within 3 months, Dante was dancing around, he was taking instruments, handing it from one person in the room to the other, looking around at them, and then when he decided that he should change off, he did. He found his voice. Since then, I've seen the magic of music and of music therapy. I've attended conferences in Dallas, the annual American Music Therapy Association. I've collaborated, I've talked to music therapists across the country. I've looked at programs. I am very convinced that music and music therapy is very important to the children, the special needs children. However, I do not believe that music therapy should be funded by public schools. I think it should be community funded and should not be placed on the IEP because it is such a big, it's very expensive to do so, and it's very difficult to find music therapists. Because of that, we have created a program called Connecting Through Music. It has been in 2 of your public elementary schools for the last 2 years. We have provided music experiences. The children receive 30 minutes of music classes once a week. The joy in those rooms are palpable. And then we've brought in a music therapist into Neptune Beach Elementary School, which teaches music-enhanced learning, not actual music therapy, but music-enhanced learning by a board-certified music therapist. It's all community funded. We have funders such as Voya Financial, Dolores Barr Weaver. Many different community members have funded. We've raised over $150,000. It's completely been donated to these schools. There are no administrative costs. And it is, if you walk into one of those programs, you would just be amazed. The learning is palpable. We just had Amy Furman. She started the music therapy program in Minneapolis school system. She came down and she evaluated our system. She worked with our therapists. She worked with our children, and she gave us a lot of guidance. We are really committed to developing a very strong program in and out of the school system. Within the school system, our only ask is that we have somebody to collaborate and talk to. We're not asking for any funding. We only want to have the ability to bring this program into the students, and we will continue to seek public funds for that, public funding through donors, grants, and we have a full board. We have our 501c3 pending. And then we're also going to try to promote music therapy, the actual music therapy, throughout the community. But I just wanted to introduce what we're doing. You'll be receiving a packet. There are a couple of events coming up. We have...
thank you very much. Your time's up. If you have anything that you want to put in writing, you're welcome to.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, board members. Thank you so much for your time. My name is Dr. Nancy Stotts. I am a recent transplant from the state of New Jersey. No booze, hisses. And I have a white coat like Mr. Jones, but I got it the hard way. And I am now retired. And I met Karen, one of the first people I met when I moved to Duval County, and she is such a delight. I cannot emphasize enough how much community support we have gotten on this program, and what a moving experience it is to see this therapy in action. If I could have you just open your folder on the right-hand side, it talks about Music Therapy Association and how it is recognized on the national level. I'm not going to bore you by reading it. I know you're capable of doing that. Underneath that is a little graphic that I just want to point out, the brain's reaction to music. On the left, it's to listening to someone like me drone on, and on the right, it's listening to your favorite tunes. And I think we all know intuitively it's a huge difference. Music does great things with these kids, especially when you consider many of them are nonverbal, and it allows them to react to their surroundings. It helps progress their social skills. It helps them learn concepts such as sign language, taking turns, etc. But there's real science beyond that. If you look at all, the following 5 pages are all studies that talk about the use of music in the brain and in learning, and especially in children who have impairments. So this is something that has been around for 65 years, but it wouldn't shock me if many of you aren't even aware of what music therapy is, because as a doctor, I didn't even know what it was. I had to look into it. It has really come of its own in the last 10 to 15 years, and I would strongly encourage you to look into it, do some research. It's really fabulous. I'm also going to point out, since Karen ran out of time, we do have a couple of events coming up, and again, it's self-explanatory on those cards with more information. I did want to just emphasize that this is 100% community funded, as it is in many other school districts. In St. John's, they've had this program for 13 years in 4 different schools, very successfully, with no incidents. I would just implore you that all we're asking for is a liaison, a person to help coordinate things and make sure that we're doing this for everyone's concern, because our concern is your concern. We really want to help the kids, and I know that's what you're all here for, and doing a great job, I might add. So with that, I'll just say that the future looks bright for music therapy and for Duval County, and I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is Monique Tooks, followed by Tim Miller and Rachel McGriff.
Good evening, Superintendent Green and the Honorable School Board members. My name is Monique Tooks, and I am the current SAC chair at the Young Women's Leadership Academy at Eugene J. Butler. I have also served as the former chair of the Fort Caroline ACE Committee and was a member of the first ACE Committee for the Leadership Academies. Let me first thank you all for your preliminary work to address the aging schools. I am here to strongly submit for consideration the scenario proposal to rebuild our middle school on site to reduce seats. Our school historically was a 6 through 12 school, and it is our desire to return to those roots. The community was promised this request, and all the aforementioned areas I've served, along with our community and alumni, support a 6 through 12. We do not want our school torn down, but a future addition as we grow our magnet program. We ask for continued support in doing so, and I thank you for that. And I didn't realize this was going to be so fast, but I just want to say this. I did not realize that there will be in Area 4 and 5 a conversation with SAC, so I'm looking forward to that conversation. But the reason why I'm here is to say that as we're right on the verge of becoming an A district, I want you to know this is a jewel in the crown of our district. What has been going on at the Leadership Academies at Eugene J. Butler has been simply amazing, a total cultural shift. And I have been a part of it from day one along with my husband. We have 8 children invested in the district, 7 now. And when I tell you the work along with the community, has been amazing. Side note, the presentation right before me, I have a child with Down syndrome that attends Pinedale. I am absolutely excited every morning when she does her music with her song, The Spear from Tasha Cobbs, and I know the effect of that. So I'm encouraged. When she talked about a liaison, if you don't have one, Team Duval, I will help you out with that. But I am just here to just say, again, I look forward to partnering with you all as we continue to grow in our aging schools and not complaining about what needs to happen, but be a part of the solution. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Tim Miller. I'm the parent of a ESE child in high school. April is Autism Awareness Month, and my child is autistic. This time of year, everybody's thinking about graduation and what comes next. ASD parents are as well, like I am. ASD parents face additional challenges, not just graduation, what kind of school they're going to. In addition to the post-secondary concerns, you've got employment concerns, mental health concerns, physical health, social health, housing, financial. You've got many more concerns. Sorry, I had to pare down my notes here to try to get it fit in. The ASD students and their families need support. There are programs out there, but we don't know about them. And this doesn't apply just to autism. It's really all disabilities, all ESC children. We had no clue that there were post-secondary programs that our children would qualify for. When our older son graduated, we had no information at all on them, none. The last couple of years, our younger child is at Atlantic Coast. The ESE team there, specifically the CSS team, is wonderful. They have provided us with extensive information and are helping us go through that maze, because it really is a maze. Getting there and trying to figure out what needs to be done, what can be done, how do you interact with all these new programs. I talked to a lot of parents once I started doing this, and barely a week goes by when somebody doesn't mention something. How do you do this? How do you get services for your child? How can we get engaged? School won't help. We need support. A few stats on ASD adults, autistic adults, because really that's what they are when they graduate. They're adults. Hypertension, 42% higher. Diabetes, 50% higher. Obesity, 69% higher. Sleep disorders, 90% higher. Anxiety, 117% higher. Depression, 123% higher. Suicide attempts, 433% higher for our autistic adults than non-autistic adults. So the services they receive in school and the resources they're pointed to and transition to is a life and death matter for many of these kids. My family has hit a number of these for our child. We need your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller.
To the school board, my name is Rachel Budsman-Griff. I am an almost graduate of Eugene J. Butler Junior Senior High School, and my thing is, it's not broke, why fix it? When I was going to Butler, we had everything inside, all inclusive. We didn't have to worry about going out in the rain or anything like that. And another thing, we didn't have problems with noise from the outside, because The only windows and things we had were on the outside walls. None of it was in the classroom. So there was nothing to distract the kids. I made sure my son went to Butler, and I made sure my nieces and nephews went to Butler because they did not have the outside distractions. When I went to Paxson back in 70, 71, first thing that hit me was the noise from the windows and the blinds and everything. I could not deal with that. And what I'm saying is, it's working, so don't break it. That's all I need to say.
Thank you. Next is Earl Kitchings, followed by Lee Brown and Nan Kavanaugh. Mm-hmm.
Good evening, school board. My name is W. Earl Kitchings. I'm the president of the Reigns National Alumni Association. With the recent rollout of the facility master planning scenario presentations for schools by the Duval County School District, these plans represent a strong and concise plan of action for improving the quality of the physical school environment at many public schools in our Jacksonville community. With many of the identified schools which are 50 years of age or older and have had some renovations over the past 25 years, this 10-year plan is both visionary and forward-thinking in its approach. However, while some of the recommendations are well-suited and deserved for some schools in several communities, this forward-thinking plan appears to lack the necessary consideration for those schools which serve schools in a majority of the communities in North Jacksonville. Many of these schools which serve these communities provide legacies and historical values to the communities they continue to serve. As has been the case in this city many times over the past 60 years, such legacies and histories have been lost or destroyed in the name of progress. Once again, the citizens and students who live in these neighborhoods are being provided with undesired options on the future of these neighborhood schools, and once again, this 2019 vision of a better plan seems just to be another new and improved version of what has been the systematic way of devaluing the urban communities. Like many communities in America, the school is the heart and soul of a community, giving it life and breath on a daily basis. What stronger foundation to the community than the school tied to its children? Since 1965, the community has been served by William M. Raines Senior High School and has produced many successful achievements and just as many successful individuals. Yet there has been many times when this school and its feeder pattern schools have been marginalized when resources and funding is not provided in a timely and economical manner. Still, through all of the challenges it has faced, the school has endured and remains a source of tradition and pride within the community it valiantly serves. There's only one other public school in this school district where its graduates and its alumni remain active in the school's growth, along with staying connected to its overall vitality. Founded on the standard of excellence and steeped in a legacy of high achievement, William M. Raines High School continues to stand as a beacon of service to the Jacksonville community. The decision to consolidate this educational citadel without the prior input and buy-in from the community, especially its alumni, has caused strong concerns to surface regarding the overall academic vitality and student safety at the school. Some of these concerns include, except for Darnell Cookman Dedicated Magnet Middle High School, what models can DCP offer that provide success for a 6 to 12 program? We, the William Raines National Alumni Association, strongly reject the idea of consolidation or merging of our alma mater in any manner or form into a 6A school, and will not stand idly by without having our voices heard, concerns addressed, and until all possible solutions are considered and exhausted.
Mr. Kitchings, your 3 minutes is up. If there's anything, I see you have something written there. If you'd like to share that with the board, I appreciate it. Thank you. Lee Brown.
Members of the board, and to the superintendent, my name is Lee Brown, and I am here today as a citizen, as a taxpayer, and as a graduate of William M. Raines High School. I'm here because I attended one of the community meetings held at Raines, and I realized that there were proposed changes to my alma mater that I had some concerns about. First of all, there's been absolutely no community input. The community needs to be involved at every step of the way. To not do so is just another example of changes forced down the throats of the city's most vulnerable citizens. Secondly, we have no evidence of success in creating a school that would house both 6th and 12th graders. I have seen situations where this has been somewhat successful, but not in an urban setting, public school setting. We have no idea how this will affect our students academically, socially, or emotionally. Next, there is no guarantee that once Raines is torn down, that a school will even be built. Unfortunately, the community cannot trust the words of today's politicians who may not be here tomorrow. Finally, loss of Raines would mean loss of its history. Raines was built as a direct result of Brown v. Board of Education. It was built to give black kids a place to further their education. Though the opening of its doors was a negative, the students quickly made it a positive as they began to make their impact on the community, the city, and on a national level. This legacy has never been taken lightly, and the pride in it is as strong today as it was in 1965. As we look to the future, let's remodel Raines in a way that embraces the future while remaining true to its past. Let's remodel Raines with space for agencies to come in and provide wraparound services to promote physical, social, psychological, and financial health. Let's remodel Raines into a community-based education center for enrichment, the arts, and grade recovery. Let's remodel Raines into a center for GED preparation, community gatherings, so that our school is truly and remains an extension of our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Kavanaugh?
Good evening, Superintendent Green and School Board. My name is Nan Kavanaugh, and I'm the Director of Communications and Marketing at Mocha Jacksonville. I'm here today to ask for your support in helping raise awareness about a unique opportunity for Title I students in Duval County and to restore funding to the arts across the county. Many of you know that in 2018, the budget of Florida's Department of Cultural Affairs suffered dramatic cuts to the detriment of students across the state. The state slashed their budget from $25 million in 2017 to $2.6 million in funding for 2018. Those dollars were distributed through grants to over 489 organizations, many of them who used the funds to provide free programming to public schools like field trips. Mocha Jacksonville was just one of many nonprofits sent into crisis last year to provide funding solutions to be able to continue to serve children with free programming. Due to the massive budget cuts, the museum lost essential funding to provide free tours to Duval County Title I schools. We went from being able to serve 20,000 students annually to a mere 3,000. Frustrated but not defeated, Mocha applied for a grant with the Jesse Ball DuPont Foundation to provide free STEAM tours for Title I 5th grade students in Duval County. The Jesse Ball DuPont Fund awarded Mocha Jacksonville $77,000 to offer STEAM tour programming for up to 12,000 Title I 5th graders in the 2019 calendar year, at no cost to the schools. Their funding covers the tours, supplies, and educators needed to offer the program, with a small transportation pool as well. Mocha is helping reduce as many barriers to participation as we can to make this opportunity accessible. I'm here today to ask for your support in helping us to meet our goal to serve 12,000 Title I 5th graders with our free STEAM programming. We've reached out to schools directly via email and snail mail with this opportunity. We're also working with Lori Hoppuck, Supervisor of the Arts for DCPS, and has provided direct communications to administrators and educators throughout their channels, yet most of the Title I schools are not responding to the opportunity. If you have any other suggestions on how to best engage schools, that would be welcome. I'm also here to request that you consider providing funding next year to support cultural organizations' efforts to provide programming to Duval County school students to mitigate the deficit of funding due to the state budget cuts. The next generation of artists in your schools, and they need your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Timothy Sloan, followed by Wendy Collins and Kenneth Covington.
Good evening to the school board chair, school board members, and Dr. Green. My name is Timothy Sloan. I'm the father of 2 here in DCPS. I am a graduate of Ribault High School class of 1987. I am retired from the Army. After serving 23 years, I came back home, and I've been very involved with our schools, probably more than most of us in here from a parent's point of view. And I would say to you, Dr. Green, when I heard your proposals for the recommendations of these particular schools to be renovated, consolidated, I said about time. It's about time that our community move forward. Of some of the recommendations from the consultant, Harborview Elementary, which is now MLK, is recommended to be closed down. I understand why. Essay Hall, 6th grade center back in the days, is recommended to be closed down. I understand why. Ribault Junior High, which is Ribault Middle School, is recommended to be consolidated with Ribault High School. I understand why. I do have concerns, though. My concerns are that these are not your recommendations. They have been the recommendations of the consultant agency. I would truly like to know what it is that you are recommending so we can have a great dialogue in the community, because I agree with a lot of these members where there needs to be serious conversation from you to us to say to us why you're recommending. Because again, people are not getting the whole information at all. So that's imperative that you get out, Dr. Green, and get that story. Again, you have a lot of us that do support this. We don't support every recommendation. We do have a lot of questions, but you haven't gotten in the grassroots in the community and given us the foundation as to why or what are your recommendations. So it's my hope that you do that. I would tell you that your master plan timeline tonight was very informative. It answered a lot of my questions, but I would like to say that I think it needs to be concrete moving forward, because based upon your timeline, you are through interacting with the community. It says up until April. So I would like to, well, I know it says to the July, but in the actual plan it says from May until July, August. And what I would like to have is concrete days of when you're gonna have community meetings. Because again, this has to have some input from us, a lot of input from us, okay? So I am in support of, again, when there's going to need to be hard conversations, I hope you understand that friendly confrontation, to understand that we all care just like you in making DCPS the best that it could be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Wendy Collins. I'm here today to talk to you about SB, which is the Senate Bill 7030, and HB 7093. Both of those are wanting to arm teachers. So the comment was made that if this goes into effect, that you will have to allow teachers to be armed. No, that's not actually how it works. So when they actually implemented the program, the Guardian program, one of the things they made sure was that teachers that were in the classroom were not able to be guardians. So now they're trying to make it so that teachers in the classroom can actually be armed and be guardians. However, the school board can opt out. It's up to you to make that decision. So I'm making sure that you're aware of that. And then I also want to make sure that you're aware of just how some of the people that work for you feel about it. So for instance, this person says, I'm a school psychologist and I have dealt with suicidal teachers that were near breaking down while on the planning period. Just because a person is stable one moment does not mean that breaks in their stability, and rational thought doesn't happen. It's the same reason that a person risk of suicide goes way up when you know they have access to a gun. It takes a split second to act on an impulsive, non-rational decision because you are overstressed. I can't even wrap my brain about all that would go into securing it properly so that the risk of child access was low, as well as any other non-licensed staff. Next person. If money and cell phones can be stolen from locked cabinets and drawers, so can weapons. If teachers can do the unethical thing of having sex with students, they can also lose it and fire a weapon. In general, I believe the more guns in a school, the more likely one is to turn into a weapon in a way that we don't want, rather than as a defensive device it was intended. Besides, can you picture a kindergartner teacher or a counselor comforting a distraught student with a gun attached to them? Also, I am not interested in having a gun attached to me or being responsible for one. Because on Friday afternoon, a gun would be a danger to have in school when students and teachers are both frazzled. Reducing gun violence in schools by requiring or even permitting teachers to carry them is not the solution. You may know a lot about guns, but unless you've worked in schools with kids, including kids with challenging and violent behaviors, you can't comprehend what a recipe for disaster this would be. I teach students with intellectual disabilities. My students need intensive instruction in all areas, including feeding, walking, communicating, and I would not want to complicate all of those duties with carrying a weapon. Lest we forget, the shooter at Episcopal School in 2012 was a teacher. So I'm here just basically to ask you to make sure that you opt out of this. This is not something that we actually want to happen. Guns in school would not stop gun violence, it just add to it.
Thank you very much. Mr. Covington?
Good evening to the superintendent, Chairwoman Hershey, and the rest of the board members. My name is Kenneth R. Covington. I am here to speak on the consolidation proposals for the schools. I am a graduate of William M. Raines, class of 72. I was in the class with Mr. Kitchen that was up here. He was a better student than I am, so some of the things I say may come across a little different, but I think they're the truth. I do come to you opposing the demolition of William Raines Senior High School. I oppose changing it to a 6th to 12th grade center. When we look at the history and we look at the presentation, it talked about the facilities and vacant seats, which means that you're being good stewards, and what we all should be looking to do to be good stewards for those facilities and making sure we're utilizing facilities well. However, it said nothing about the education of what's going to happen within our kids after these things are put in place. One of the things that was very highlighting to me is that for District 4 and District 5, 45% of the funding is needed to rectify the problems that exist in those areas. Those problems exist because they have been allowed to exist for that period of time. What's to say that we get a brand new building and the same things that happen that cause us to have as many problems in those districts are still happening? I hear nothing that's speaking to what's going to be done differently other than new buildings and maximizing seats. And we are very concerned about that. One of the things that I stand before you and I'm always very concerned about, and hope that you, as being a new transplant to the city, have taken the opportunity to study some history about Jacksonville and about William M. Raines specifically, which is what we're speaking to. Jacksonville, it's unfortunately 2019, black and white still is a relevant conversation in Jacksonville, Florida. William M. Raines is the last existing, quote, black high school in this city. There have been things that have happened over the years that have taken away all the others. Stanton, which is one of the great schools now, has a magnet, but when it moved or migrated to that point, some of the history and artifacts were destroyed and thrown away because they meant nothing to the people who were implementing the process. We are very concerned about the methodology that we move and say that we're going to tear down Raines and do something else with a school that was actually built so that black kids would not have to go to school with the white kids at Reebok. So, you know, those things are things we want to make sure you're aware, consider, and take into consideration when making your decisions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mia Jones, followed by Sean Bennett and Reverend Aaron Flagg.
chairwoman, school board employee, and state representative, Mia Jones.
Good evening, Madam Chairwoman, Vice Chair Jones, and to our superintendent. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak to you today. I am Mia Jones. I've had the pleasure of being a proud graduate of William Raines High School, class of '86, an actual employee of the Duval County School Board for almost a decade, a city council member, state representative, and now being able to be a healthcare executive. But today I stand before you as a proud graduate of Raines High School. I tell you that because when I go out and I continue to speak to our students, the first thing I start off with is letting them know that I went to Sally Mathis, which was Forest Hills when I was there, that I went to George Washington Carver, that I attended Northwestern Junior High School, and that I'm a graduate of Raines High School, and then the list goes on. But I do that because you don't understand the light in their eye when they recognize that someone is standing before them that sat in the seats that they're sitting in. Or if they're in high school, that someone who went to the same junior high school that they attended. It means something to them, and they will share that with us. So as I looked at all of the comments that have come out, and I've heard the comments that have come forward, I said that I couldn't sit home and not at least come and say to you, I'm here. People continue to come to me and ask me, what's your opinion? How do we address this? How do you feel about this? I was glad to hear tonight that there is more to come and that you will be out in the community hearing from the community. Because what I recognize is that it is critical for us to listen to those who live in the community. We only want what's best for our students, and we know that you want that as well. And so although I was very concerned when I sat at Raines High School and listened to the presentation of the consultant, I said, I've sat in your seats, and I would not come and say, I'm just totally against this, but I would say to you that more needs to be done before a decision is made, and that ultimately we need to hear from the community and recognize that we have a jewel in our community, not just in Raines, in Rebought as well. So when we come and we speak because we care about our community, but we also know that many, many, many times we've been shafted. And we have to come and let you know that we want to be a part of the process, and we want to be a part of the decision making as we're going forward with this. So I thank you for the opportunity to come before you tonight, and I look forward to working with you through this process and making sure that our kids have the best educational opportunities that they can have. Thank you very much.
Mr. Bennett?
Hello, great to be here. Thank you, school board members. My name is Sean Bennett. I'm the music teacher at Ortega Elementary School. I'm also the president of the Duval County Elementary Music Teachers Association, as well as the vice chair of the Duval County Arts Advisory Council. I stand before you for two reasons. It's been kind of a rough week. I found out on planning day that my job is going to be split itinerant. At the same time, I found out my school faces the possibility of being dissolved. And so when I hear these speakers before me speak about Raines and what it means to them, I think of my time at my school. I've been a teacher for 6 years. I've served the students. I've always been a teacher of and for the students. And during my time there, I've witnessed children grow from kindergarten to learning how to sit in a chair to becoming exceptional musicians, and that's what I do every day. I'm advocating against the consolidation of Ortega with Venetia Elementary School. I believe that these plans that we have in place will damage a school culture that's been established, not just within the school, but in the community. And I can see parallels between the speakers at Rains and what we're dealing with at Ortega, because we've created this sense of community, this safe place for children to be. And we have a really beautiful school. It's old, but it's old. It's a historic building, and we would like to continue working in it. Most of my faculty will agree that it is, they don't want to work at any other school. Some of our teachers have been there for more than a decade. I'm getting close. I'm hoping I can continue there. My other thing that I'm advocating for is full restoration of the arts in our district, and I know that that's a challenge. I feel like this is a yearly thing where I get up and try to beg for my job. But please try to work to restore funding to the arts. It's very important that we have quality arts programs in the schools. Speakers before us were mentioning, violence and shootings in the city of Jacksonville, and I've experienced it on my own. I had a colleague that was murdered in her house many years ago, a music teacher, Miss Deborah Lyles, and it touches me when I think of these things. So I believe that the best way to curb gun violence in the city of Jacksonville is to fully fund arts programs so that children have a creative outlet, so that they can get out of the streets and get into music. So please consider finding ways to restore funding. If you are looking to work with community members, I meet with the Duval County Arts Advisory Council once a month. It's the first Friday of every month. It's even in this building. Please feel free to join us. I know we've had a few members come and join us. Thank you very much, and fight for the arts like your heart depends on it.
Thank you. Reverend Flagg, followed by Jesse Wilcox and Darlene Miller.
I'm a Baptist preacher, so I'm going to start introducing and saying, hey, everybody in their respective places, God bless you, God keep you, and I'm glad to be here. Now, won't be before you long.
That's what they all say.
My name is Reverend Flagg. I'm a member of the A. Philip Randolph SAC Committee. I'm an associate minister at the Emmanuel Missionary Baptist Church. I'm past second vice president of the Baptist Ministers Conference of Duval and adjacent counties. I'm a 31-year Part 1 football coach at Forest View Athletic Association, where our Hall of Famer Brian Dawkins came from, and he went to Rains too. I'm also a member of Citizens United, comprised of the JSO, the FBI, the Department of Justice, and the State Attorney's Office. And I'm just here to ask for some common sense solutions to what we have before us. When we look at the plan that these people from Ohio put together, they were looking at dollars and cents and brick and mortar. But we're talking about children's lives. We're talking about the lives of the community. When you close a school in a community, that community dies. It's like poison in the water, and eventually everything around there is going to die. When you talk about putting Cleveland Arms, Hilltop, Washington Heights, and Sherwood Forest together, y'all don't know y'all got bleaching ammonia yet. That's a recipe for disaster, because you're going to have the National Guard at the school all day, every day to keep them from fighting one another. People in Ohio don't know that. We got problems in America that didn't just develop, but we need a plan B. I asked the gentleman from the school board that's over the schools, what about plan B? There is none. And when you show me a plan, and I ask you if there's a plan B, and you tell me there is none, that means that I might eat what you put here anyhow, regardless. That's an affront to me. I was at the presentations. This right here, where they told everybody to go online, and fill out. A lot of these grandparents that are raising these children in these communities y'all talking about destroying are not computer literate. We had the presentation in the auditorium. They moved us to the library and split us up. Where I come from, that's running game. Listen to all of us in one room at one time. Let us vote the same way we voted for y'all to sit in them chairs. Let us vote for whether y'all gonna tear down our schools or not, and y'all will find out what the community wants. Because I'm quite sure that we pay y'all. We give away a lot of tax dollars to incentives to businesses to come here. So money is no issue. Largest city land-wise in the world. We got the biggest, we built a hotel stadium. I'm going to go now, but thank you.
Thank you
God
very
bless
much.
you. And we'll finish this discussion at the next meeting.
Thank you. Jesse Wilcox, followed by Darlene Miller and Lance Tunsil.
Good evening. Chairman Hersey and Chairman Green and the rest of the board members, thank you for this opportunity. My name is Jesse Wilcox. I'm a part of the William M. Raines National Alumni Association. A lot of high schools in Duval County don't have a National Alumni Association, but Raines do. In the beginning, I was glad to be able to come and hear about your timeline. That was very important to us because we didn't know how far behind the 8 ball we were running. And so knowing that your timeline, we have a attitude to proceed with the process of collaboration. We're glad to hear about you still coming into the community to give some information regarding what's going on. But as a responsibility of the National Alumni Association, that process of collaboration we've started by coming to here to view, to give out, share our input about how we feel, and also at the same time to share with you that our need to be a part of the process. We want to be. We'll let you know that we are a voice in our particular community, and we want to be a part of the community and working with you all with the educational needs of the community. We want to make sure our educational needs and views be shared from our community. So we are trying to make sure that we get all the details, and we've developed a focus group with a lot of people that's in the Raines Nation. That through that focus group, we'll be able to come up with not only ideas to submit to you all to be part of the solution, because we work in that community, and through that process that we'll be able to move forward and be results oriented. I was a part of the reaccreditation committee from Raines, and I worked in the SAC committee with Raines for many years. I was president for over 12 years there. So we've worked in the system knowing how this process works. So we want to be a part of that solution. So we'll be meeting with, we've actually met with the board chairman of our area, and also we'll be looking to actually meet with the superintendent so we can get to the grassroots of how we can solve those. So we're going to go into a think tank to be able to provide solutions and also provide information to Raines Nation about what's going on, along with your committee meetings. We're looking to work with the SAC that's there at Raines also. But we want to get a collaborative effort to make sure that everything is on the table and that we can be a part of the solution. So we thank you for that opportunity, and be looking to talk with you very soon.
Thank you. Darlene Miller, followed by Lance Tunsil and LaShonda Holloway.
Good evening. My name is Darlene Miller. I want to start somewhere my husband left off for a moment. So ASD adults are 433% more likely to attempt suicide than their peers. That is a terrifying number to a parent of an ASD child right now. They're 90% higher to have a sleep disorder. I understand that one. I wake up in the middle of the night all the time to stomps in the hallway of my son Pacey in the middle of the night that he's gotten up because he can't sleep. We've had problems for years. They're getting better. Atlantic Coast is probably one of the best high schools you could send a child to, especially with ASD. We didn't start out at Atlantic Coast High School. We had issues, major issues, services not being implemented, accommodations not even trying to be implemented. My husband and I have spent, when his freshman year, we spent about $6,000 on an attorney that we hired in March, and she was done with the work by May, mid-May. $6,000. We went to a rights law conference that cost us several $100s. And why am I up here telling you about my financial stuff? Because my husband and I have the resources to do this. Do you know how many parents are in the system that do not? Or do not even know how to go without doing it? Or how they have rights? It's like my husband said, we didn't know about the research. Our oldest son is SLD, Specific Learning Disability is what it's called. We didn't know there were resources after high school. We know there was a voc rehab after high school for him. Until Atlantic Coast brought it up with our younger son. My youngest son, who has ASD, went through driver's education course. He didn't do anything driver's education course, but got an A. They didn't want to work with him. Well, that's okay. I can send him to a private driving school later. I have the resources. But other people do not. The vision is to ensure every student is inspired and prepared for success in college or a career and life. Let's get these children ready for their lives. Thank you.
Thank you. Lance Tunsil, followed by LaShonda Holloway.
Good evening, school board. I want to thank you for inviting me to say a few words. My number one concern is that I understand the concept of privatization. I know when you come with market-based solutions to educational problems, there's somebody or some people, a think tank, if you will, who believe that they can make money off of the educational process. And the concept and the notion and the idea that the students are first in this agenda is not something that I even entertain. When you tell me that you're going to take 40% of your budget and you're going to spend them in the black community, that tells me that somebody plans on having ownership of our schools. Privatization means that whatever belongs to the public, it moves over into the private domain, and the corporations then will hold sway over what happens in our community. They'll hold sway on the ownership. Now, what you will have to remember is that you work for us, and you don't work for them. And I have to reiterate that, because I believe that many in government have a rubber stamp waiting to use it. But we will not allow anyone to come in our community and close down our schools. The cultural dynamics that everybody talked about are much too valuable. The gym, the pearl, the times that we spent, and what it means to the community is not to be taken lightly. And when I begin to see and hear what I've heard tonight from these citizens, I am awful proud that I did attend William Raines High School, because these are very bright people that I've heard come to speak to this council. So I don't want to say a whole lot, but I want each one of you to know that if you haven't studied privatization and the history of it, go back and study it, and this whole thing falls right into that footprint. We're in we're in a debate about what we're going to do about schools, but nobody has talked to us. So whenever you don't talk to us, I lose trust. I just want you to know that we have to have a conversation. And now that I've been here, I'm going to get engaged with the rest of my classmates and make sure that what we do moving forward is well thought out, well planned, and that we understand the entire concept of how market-based solutions destroy communities. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Greetings to members of the board, Madam Chairperson, Vice Chairperson, and Madam Superintendent. My name is LaShonda J. Holloway, and I rise this evening in support of my alma mater, William Marion Raines. Not only am I an alum of William Marion Raines, but I'm also a community stakeholder. And while I applaud your having the community conversation and expressing your master plan on this evening, the harsh reality is without a plan that takes into consideration the cultural competency and the community at large, that plan is not a master plan. It is, in fact, a plan that is dictated by the board. But let me admonish the board that we, the people, elected you, and the government is only as strong as the people it represents. So as a person who not only resides in this city and who attended William Marion Raines, I rise this evening to say that consolidation is not the answer. Innovation is the answer. As the gentleman who spoke, Reverend Flagg, said, to have both Cleveland Arms, Washington Heights, and many of the communities merge into a consolidated plan is a plan for disaster. And Madam Superintendent, you have said in numerous meetings for which I have been in attendance that safety and security is your first plan. Let me say to you that if you consolidate K-6 through 12 and close down the schools that you plan to close in order to consolidate these schools, it is a recipe for disaster. Moreover, as a native of this city, I want you to understand that Raines High School has a very rich history. You've heard many of its alumni stand up and speak, and we do have a National Alumni Association. With that Alumni Association, Raines has the pleasure of boasting the most graduates to have members in the NFL. While we know that sports is not the end-all, be-all, understand that very rich history is very important to the alum of that school. As you have heard, many persons this evening have mentioned Stanton College Preparatory School. Many people who attend that school as Stanton College Preparatory don't know the history of James Weldon Johnson being the first principal of that school, and a very rich history, which is why the African American community adopted the Negro National Anthem. It's history like that is erased when you consolidate schools. So for all of those reasons, I want the board to understand that the most green building is the building that remains. And your responsibility, I understand, is fiscal, but social responsibility costs far more than the money it will require to build a new school. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We are now on to comments from parent organizations. Do we have anyone from parent organizations here tonight?
Good evening again, Dr. Green and school board members. As many of you have already heard, that we just completed our Student Leadership Academy, and we want to thank Dr. Hatcher for allowing us to use Sandalwood High School's library to have those classes. And thank you to Ms. Kimberly Miller for coming out with board member Ashley Swartzmith to do a class with the students. The students were able to meet with Senator Gibson, Senator Bean, Representative Tracy Davis, and Representative Byrd, to name a few. And we're very proud. They were well behaved, and we're very proud of our Duval students. Some of our board members, after we took our trip to Tallahassee, we had the Florida PTA legislative conference a few weeks later. So we also went back to Tallahassee to participate in that and to visit with those people that are making decisions for our schools. Lastly, we are now preparing for our end of the year Presidents and Principals Luncheon, which all of you should have your invites, and we hope to see you there. And thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Ms. Tutt. I thought I saw Mr. Hawk. There you are.
Yes. Good afternoon. How's everybody today? Hopefully everyone's well. To the chair, superintendent, vice chair. Bring you the highlights from the March 25th 2019 District Advisory Council meeting. We experienced a rare phenomenon, just like the fact that Virginia is playing Texas Tech tonight in the national championship game. We experienced something that has never happened before in the history of District Advisory Council meetings, and that is we had the absolute shortest meeting in my tenure being there. We were out by 7 o'clock. And that was due to the fact that the superintendent and the board member who would have ordinarily showed up were at the facilities meeting that was being held at Raines High School. But we did have a power pack, full of fact and fun time. We did hear from Miss Sanita Young, who informed us about the facilities meetings that were going on and that we could go on YouTube and view the meetings, and from viewing the meetings on YouTube that we could then send in any type of concerns that we might have through email. We, in response to some concerns that were held by the SAC member at First Coast High School, Dr. Krisner emailed information concerning the fact that the city of Jacksonville is planning to place a sidewalk in that area that will assist the students with traffic. And lastly, the Chartwell's representative, Mr. Darrell Smith, shared with us that March was Strawberry Month. Some of our schools had actual strawberry milk, as well as the schools were served strawberries that were grown right here in the state of Florida from Plant City. If you're not aware, Chartwell's actually buys the entire crop of farms so that our students receive fresh fruits and vegetables. With that being said, if you were in attendance at the meeting, guess what? You left with a container of strawberries. You missed it. I got yours, don't worry, and they were good. Because of the facilities meetings that are going on, even though we have reached the required number of meetings that the District Advisory Council should have, we're going to continue to meet until the end of the school year so that we can disseminate information to the various SACs and through the schools as to the things that may be going on and the plans that you have. That's all I have for you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other representatives from parent organizations wishing to speak? Is there a student government representative? Just don't want to miss anyone. How about employee organizations? Anyone wishing to speak from employee organizations? Moving on. We're on to approval of minutes. That the Duval County School Board approve the minutes for the meetings listed in the agenda item. February 19, 2019, chat with the superintendent. March 4, 2019, board retreat. March 5, 2019, regular board meeting. March 12, 2019, policy handbook review committee meeting. March 18, committee meeting, District 1. March 18, 2019, committee meeting, District 2. March 20, 2019, board workshop and committee meeting. March 21, 2019, community meeting, District 3. March 21, 2019, community meeting, District 6. March 25, 2019, community meeting, District 5. March 26, 2019, community meeting, District 4. March 28, community meeting, District 7. Is there a motion?
Moved.
Second.
It was moved by Board Member Grimes and seconded by Vice Chair Jones. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I call for your vote.
Madam Chairman, we could record, excuse me, a not present for the board member who stepped away.
Oh, okay.
If Ms. Sparrow's taking care of that.
Okay. we ready? By your actions, you have approved this 6-0. Approval of consent agenda. Are there any items to place on the consent agenda, or items for discussion? Is there seeing none, is there a motion?
Move approval.
Second. That was moved by Vice Chair Jones and seconded by Board Member Willie.
Chair Hershey.
I know. Oh, you're on here.
Okay.
I'm not that far yet.
Thank you.
So we vote next, right? Okay, she got me. I was following this, and then I didn't want to skip ahead. So, okay. So, is there any discussion? Seeing none, I call for your vote, and then we will have your comments afterwards. By your actions, you have approved this. We have consent with comments, Human Resource Services, staffing, approval of changes to the 2019-2020 Instructional Personnel Evaluation System. Board Member Anderson.
Thank you. I just wanted to take a moment to have an opportunity to talk about what this item is, since I know it'll affect so many of our instructional personnel. Before I kind of give my comment, I was wondering, Dr. Green, if you wouldn't mind telling us a little bit more about what VAM is, where it comes from, and why we're making this change at this time.
Well, VAM stands for Value Added Model. It is the student performance piece of the teacher evaluation, as well as a portion of the principal evaluation. Therefore, the state developed the formula, and this model is built on student growth and the prediction of how students should grow based on a number of factors. So they do not treat all students the same, but based on a number of factors each student may have, they project this: when the teacher adds value, growth is at this point. If they add more value, then their growth is at this point. So we have unsatisfactory, needs improvement, effective, and highly effective. So a student that makes that teacher adds the most value would have a VAM score that would put them in highly effective. And this part of legislation, it used to be, it was required to be 50% of a teacher's evaluation, 50% based on student achievement, 50% the other, not the other total 50, but most of it would be through principal observation. There could be a small percentage based on a professional development plan. But law changed a year ago that allowed districts to keep it at 50%, or they could reduce it down to 33%. And it generally is based on negotiations between administration and the district DTU, the teachers union.
Thank you. I pulled this item specifically because I hear a lot of conversation in the community, especially among teachers in my community, about VAM scores, and a lot of confusion about how VAM is calculated, and that is mandated from the state. And the formula can be very complex and quite confusing. I asked to meet with some of our staff to please go over what VAM is, and they affirmed for me that it is very confusing calculation. And my concern as we talk about changing the evaluation system is that we're able to use any professional evaluation as a tool for growth and development. And my concern as I spoke with staff is using the VAM score that we know is a complicated, somewhat maybe inaccurate measure of a teacher's ability. Where does that leave us as far as the evaluation tool, and whether or not we're able to grade a teacher as effective or highly effective, and what that translates into the stakes of testing? And so I wanted to have this conversation because I think that it's important that teachers understand what is required of us as a district, what is mandated by the state, and continue to come back around to whether or not this is the best tool for evaluating teachers. I understand that we have a collective bargaining agreement that has gone back and forth on what we should use to evaluate teachers, and there's a lot of concern about leaving that up to administrators or parents and using the VAM score as a real objective measure. And so we have to decide, I think, as a community of professionals, what do we value? How do we want to use our evaluation tool? Is it a true reflection of what's happening in our schools and in our classrooms? Do we empower our leaders to be able to develop their staff? Are staff willing to take feedback from their leaders and to grow as professionals? So I hope that we'll be able to continue these conversations. Now we're looking at state legislation that's going to continue to increase bonuses for teachers based on some of these scores rather than increase salaries. So when we're talking about evaluating teachers, it's tied to so much more. And I think when we're looking at VAM, I'm glad to know we're making a little bit of a change that is maybe more reflective or accurate of what is happening in the classroom, from the 4 buckets to a continuum percentage of their VAM. And I hope that that's acceptable for our teachers. But I do want to make sure that we all recognize that our teachers' success is inextricably tied to our students' success, and that if they are doing well, then our students can do better. And if we are not willing to give them formative feedback or use that feedback effectively, then I worry that we're not really challenging all of our staff to be the best educators that they can be. So we'll look and we'll see. Hopefully this change in our VAM score will be good for our teachers, but ultimately good for our children. So I am on board for now, and I hope that we are able to continue to look at providing good feedback for our teaching staff, developing those educators and our leaders as well.
Thank you, Board Member Anderson. We are on to superintendent travel. The Duval County School Board approved the following superintendent travel: April 10 through 11, 2019, Tampa, Florida, Shape America, Tampa 2019 National Convention and Expo Leadership Summit, Social and Emotional Learning. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
It was moved by Vice Chair Jones and seconded by Board Member Grimes. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I call for your vote. By your action, you have passed this 6-0. I will say that Board Member Smith Juarez did join us tonight. As you could tell, she was a little under the weather, and she had said she would stay for as long as she can. So just please know that she left because she wasn't feeling well. I don't want anyone to think differently. I had something, I ended up on antibiotics, so I had encouraged her to go to the doctor. So we are actually for the record, we have moved swiftly with about 20 public comments tonight, which is great. And Board Member Grimes, can we start with you?
You can.
Okay.
I just, I really, talking at the superintendent's comments really were sobering in lots of ways, and I am very proud to be able to serve with all of you, and I think that we've got our hands full. And I know everyone is dedicated to doing the right thing. And I know also that the superintendent is going to have the opportunity to talk to the people tonight that were really concerned. And I understand the concern. And so I just want to say that I think this is a great board, and we have a great superintendent, and I think that we're going to do the best that we can.
Board Member Willie?
Just to piggyback there, like I remember getting the information about the incident that happened at St. Clair, and I think about also the thousands of parents who just found out which schools their kids might be going to, just like I did, and it makes you just pause and think about our kids and making sure they're safe. So I appreciate that stance and that statement that you made, and it is all of our job and responsibility to think about that. So and I'm hard pressed to make sure that our schools are safe as well. Did want to give another appreciation for Asa Philip Randolph and the students that came. They did a tremendous job. And A. Philip Randolph was a historic civil rights leader who actually coordinated the March on Washington, if you didn't know. And he would be so proud to see all of those students standing and being the citizens who they are now and what they hope to be. So just a tremendous honor goes to them for standing up and having the courage to stand in front. Also, James Collier, who did the thought of the day, he's a BTS student, and if you're not inspired by him, then I don't know. And I met him at a college fair, and he mentioned that he nobody went to college. Some folks hadn't really graduated from high school. He failed to mention that he actually already got into 2 colleges already. So just so proud of him, and everything that's happening at Bristol Success as well. That's often overlooked, but I had some stats. Over $1 million in scholarships, 152 of those students have gotten in or admissions offers, and over 70% of those are already on track to graduate for this year. So some exciting things happening in our schools, and especially our BTS schools, which sometimes get this different sort of look at them, but they're great students and things are happening in those schools. Last couple of things, just want to thank the folks who came and spoke up for the schools as far as tradition and Rains and Ribault in that area. I know my inbox and Facebook has been flooded with conversations about it. What I love about it is we're actually having conversations about creating new environments for our kids to learn in on the north side, which doesn't happen very often. So regardless of this rub or tension that we have, we're going to get to an amazing place because we're going to involve everybody. And we are still at the very sort of beginning and start of this process. So I commend those folks for coming, the superintendent for her willingness to go out and meet. There are future meetings that are going to happen in Districts 4 and 5 because there's a lot going on in Districts 4 and 5. So I encourage folks to come out to those meetings if you can. Get the clarity that you need so you can actually be the informed and influencer when you're out talking to your peers and influential groups. Last couple of things. We got to attend the Employee of the Year. Thank you, Mr. Vic Schultz, for that awesome night to really be able to celebrate our employees across the school district. We took a lot of pictures, and schools were there in full force. And I think they're the lifeblood of what happens in our schools. So it's always great to appreciate that. And thank you for you and your staff for putting that on. And last, just a moment of privilege. There's an individual who passed away. I don't know if you all know Mr. Eric Johnson. He worked for Communities in Schools, just an instrumental being on this planet who worked diligently on behalf of students and people in our community. So it's only fitting that as a board, as somebody who works with schools and school board, that we just pause to just say his name so it's on the record, because he touched so many of our students' lives in this school district, and he will be missed. But now there's other folks. He's an angel. He's an angel amongst us. And now there's other folks who are going to take on the weight that he took on and help our students. So thank you for your time, and I'll yield the rest.
Thank you, Board Member Willie. Board Member Anderson?
Sure, thank you so much. I thank you, Mr. Miller and Mrs. Miller, for bringing up Autism Awareness Month. I do like to bring some awareness to autism disorders and the spectrum disorders. To piggyback on that, May will be Mental Health Awareness Month. I'm looking forward, and I've been working with the district on a students' mental health conference that will be happening here in just 10 days or so on April 17th. And that's happening in April because we want to make sure that students are armed with information to go back to their schools and generate awareness. So I didn't want to wait until the May meeting because then we'd already be into May, so I wanted to make sure that you're thinking about it now and figure out what your hashtags are going to be. Get your posts together because it's really important that we're all working together to fight the stigma, not only for ASD and autism spectrum, but for all of mental health, disabilities, and wellness. So there's that. I want to say thank you very much to the Jacksonville City Council. Having our joint meeting was fantastic. It was very exciting to sit up there with them, and I am really hopeful for the work that we can continue to do together. So thank you for inviting us, and thank you for being willing to have ongoing conversations. I really appreciate everyone that came tonight to speak. I have to reiterate appreciation for that, because I think that although we are at just the beginning, and it's unfortunate that somewhere that piece of the message got lost in translation, that this was just the start of a conversation. This is one plan that people are proposing based on buildings and data, and we are more than happy to hear what is good for communities, what is good for children, and I look forward to having those conversations as a board and hearing from our community members. So many of them have left, but I'm grateful that they came tonight. I think that it's, when we talk about violence in our communities, and I appreciate, Dr. Green, that you, I think sometimes there's been a misperception, or maybe it's just been mine, that the violence is not a DCPS problem, right? It's a community problem. But to me, I really heard you clearly saying we are part of that community. And I hope, and I feel confident that as a board, we feel that way. It's not acceptable. It's not acceptable that St. Clair Evans could have 3 bullets, barely miss children. And so I hope that part of coming together and talking about, I'll just say as a quick aside too, that arming teachers was not going to stop that incident. So whatever your position is on arming teachers, that wasn't going to be a solution. And if a child had been injured, what would the conversation now look like as far as school safety? Then that's a concerning thing for me to think about. So I want to take care of all of our children. I want to work together with our communities to have good facilities, to have safe facilities, to have high-class education, because we know that that's what's good for children. So I'm very excited to continue on with that. Employee of the Year was awesome. Thank you so much to all of those wonderful, wonderful people that we know are sort of the heartbeat of our schools. Our teachers are great, but without these extra support staff, none of us would be doing any of this. So thank you. And then finally, my words of wisdom, I think, for the month are, if we keep doing what we've always done, we'll keep getting what we've always got. And it is really difficult to step out and be bold and have hard discussions, but I'm excited for it, and I'm excited for getting something new.
Thank you. I will add that Board Member Anderson also represented the board at that Employee of the Year event. So again, it's just another way that we all work together and people step up and step in. So thank you for speaking that night. We appreciate it. Board Member Joyce?
Well, I want to start off by saying thank you to Dr. Green for your presentation this afternoon or this evening, and the passion in your voice for our community. I appreciate that, and I think that everyone on this board agrees with you 100%. I want to thank all of the stakeholders who have come to the meetings, our community meetings, and filled out a survey. And for those of you who come tonight to voice your opinion, I would just encourage you to please stay engaged. We really do value everybody's opinion, and I just thank you for giving those opinions to us. I was very honored to see my little orchestra, Chet's Creek Orchestra, perform tonight. As a mom of 5, all my children played either the violin or the cello when they were younger. And so I am so proud of all of our future DA graduates that were before us tonight. And Board Member Jones, I beat you to the Nutrition Center. I took my 6th graders there last year, and we all had hairnets and lab coats. And I would really encourage anyone to please visit that facility because it is amazing. And it was eye-opening for my students to be able to see where their food comes from and the dedicated employees who are working hard to feed them. So that's really all. Oh, and I wanted to thank our legislators and their staff for entertaining us last week and listening to our concerns, opening their offices for us to come in. And I just hope that we can keep that conversation moving forward so that we can absolutely have the best public education system in this state, in this nation.
Thank you. Vice Chair Jones.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, I want to thank the superintendent also for her work in the district and your concern for the shooting that occurred at St. Clair Evans. I think, as we all know, it's a community-wide issue. It's not a school issue, and it could happen anywhere. It happened in Arlington a couple of weeks ago with the bank, in front of the bank, where they had a drive-by shooting. Fortunately, nobody was hurt there either. So we have this problem in Duval County, but also all throughout the nation. And the city has a task force that you and Director Edwards and Dr. Corker Daniels attended last Friday, and I really appreciate the presentation, clearing up some of the questions that the committee members had, task force members had, about the graduation rate, how the school resource officers interact with the JSO. I think that enlightened them, and hopefully they will come to a better conclusion and report to the president on how we can move forward in reducing overall crime in Jacksonville. We know what has worked in the past. We know that the journey was very effective in reducing crime in Duval County. We got away from that model. We reduced the funding, and now we're right back to where we were 10 years ago. Also want to congratulate Mrs. Doughtry, who was selected school-related employee of the year, and she's done an outstanding job. I read some of the information. I was unable to attend. I thank you for filling in for the chairperson and the vice chair if I couldn't go. But she does an outstanding job at Thomas Jefferson Elementary School for those kids, and they really appreciate it, and you can tell by the letters that they've written. Also, thank all those who took time to attend the meeting at Raines and Rebald. I think Mr. Nelson will attest that the 3 staff persons were overwhelmed with the crowd, and a lot of people left there a little frustrated because they were not able to interact and get questions answered. I don't think we were prepared to address the questions from 150, I think 159 at Raines and 263 at Rebald who attended that meeting. I also want to let those who did attend and were frustrated because the superintendent was not there. She did not attend any of those meetings, so don't feel slighted that she was not at Raines or Rebald. She did not attend any of the 7 meetings that were held during that time. And I think we're in a good place. I think the discussion has started. I think the community supports improving our schools, and they just need to have a conversation on how we get there. You know, we need to improve our schools. We all agree with that. The question is, which ones do we improve? Which one do we consolidate? Which ones do we close? And I think therein lies the crux of the problem. And I've encouraged all those, especially those I met with Raines, the National Alumni Association, to please support improving our schools. Whatever you say about the plan as it's designed now, but please come out and support the plan. I think they've all agreed to do so. And to my good friend Aaron Flagg, he's a little emotional, but he cares about that community and that he grew up in, he still lives in, and they're very passionate. There's a connectivity, an emotional connection to those schools that many people have, and when you look at it objectively, and they will get to that point. I think we will as a community get to a point where we look at the reality of where we are today and where we have to go to get to the next 10 or 20 years in this community. I think we'll get there. And Dr. Green, I thank you for your efforts, your work, your patience, your understanding, especially in meeting with some of the people. And Dr. Green will be speaking a week from tomorrow at the former council president's meeting, so all of the board members are invited to join us. We meet at 11:30 and we get out there at 1 o'clock. Eric Smith is the current chairperson, and we look forward to having Dr. Green there, and I look forward to introducing her and let them know that she's not as mean as they think she is. She's not mean at all. Madam Chair, I think I've said enough. And of course, the City Council, the joint meeting of the City Council, I thought went well. As former Mayor John Payton often pointed out, when the state starts reducing your revenue streams, what do you do? And as you look at what's happening in Duval County, every county around us and many counties throughout the state have come up with other revenue streams, impact fees, a half-penny sales tax, because the state keeps reducing the way you can generate revenue. And Mayor Payton, in his effort to combat that problem, got the City Council to pass a stormwater fee, garbage fee, and a franchise fee, because he realized the state was taking away revenue streams. So we as a district must also look at ways to improve our revenue stream if we're going to maintain and build new schools. Thank you.
Thank you. And he did advise, I think, Ms. Chastain, there's plenty of time to notice that before that meeting. So, before you've got to notice everything. I had the privilege and opportunity to attend the Downtown Rotary meeting today, where our rock star superintendent knocked it out of the park with her presentation and began to spread the word about Duval County Public Schools, the good things that are happening, and our master plan, as well as our need to generate some more revenue. So it was a privilege to be with her this morning for that event. I don't know if any of you watched The Voice, but I just want you to know that Duval County has Matthew Johnson. He's a graduate of Mandarin High School. He went to elementary school at Crown Point. Now, I do not know where he went to middle school. I'm guessing maybe Mandarin Middle, but I don't know. But I know the other two, he was out at Crown Point earlier this week. So if you watch The Voice, I'm just asking you to pull for a Jacksonville, Duval County Public School graduate, and hopefully we can see him get the prize of whatever you win being on The Voice. I appreciate the superintendent's comments, and I would just caution us as a city to not think that it's okay for some things to happen in part of the city. And I don't want us to get complacent as citizens of Jacksonville. It is time for us to really rally together and figure out ways that we can, by working with our city council members, with the mayor, with the sheriff, whatever it is, we need to rally as a community, because shots fired in broad daylight that hit a school is troubling. A third grader who says it happens all the time, that's troubling. And I just hope that this is a wake-up call for our community, and it is unacceptable for any part to happen at any school in our neighborhood, in any district. So I appreciate the superintendent's words, and I do